All right, we are ready to kick off another episode of the Audio Project with Deena Tearney, and I'm very excited today. I'm just happy. I'm just overall happy to have a guest that is someone that I call a friend, a former colleague, and now a partner in some business-related activities. So, Kevin McNulty, Director of Professional Services West for Squid. You are here. You're in the house.
I know.
Thank you for being here.
It's awesome. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Kevin, can you give our audience just maybe a short introduction to who you are and what your role is at Squid?
Sure. Let's see. At Squid, I oversee kind of a group of people that are basically solution engineers, or in our old world, just like consultants who are delivering our solutions for our enterprise customers and our mid-sized customers, and that's kind of my overall role.
Love it. Can you tell us, I know you really well, I know your background, we worked together in the past, but again, just for the audience's sake, I think you have a really impressive background and cool career, so I just wondered if you could give us, maybe the 3 or 4 minute version of that. I'd love for our audience to hear more about your background.
Yeah, super high level. That first got out of school, liberal arts major, but I went to school, went to work for Anderson Consulting, which became Accenture. While there, I went down the technical path and just started learning at the time. I wanted to learn SAP like everyone else did because you got paid more. And but at the time, there was a new up and coming thing called Siebel, and it was brand new, and it was for Salesforce effectiveness. There was no such thing as CRM at the time, or customer relationship management, which we all are into these days. And so I got sent down with a bunch of folks to start doing that. I was at Anderson Consulting, or Accenture, for 3.5 years, and then a bunch of friends got tired of being road warriors, and we all jumped ship to start a regional company in San Francisco to serving the Silicon Valley called Bay Street Solutions. And we started growing that practice, and then the tech sector took a hit in 2002. We saw it kind of coming because our clients, and we had to go back to being road warriors and kind of traveled everywhere and kind of grew that business, sold that business to a company called Proficient. And I tried doing another startup on my own with my brother-in-law, self-funded, and that didn't really work out as planned. And along the way, I ended up working with you. And then so I was here in Hawaii, and then I was trying to make my way home back to California, and I found Squid, which was, at the time, they were trying to kind of create something that I thought was kind of near and dear to me. It was back to being CRM. It was trying to create a nice looking UI, and I was really interested at the time about being able to connect to multiple different data sources without having to kind of push data back and forth, and to have real-time calls. And so I kind of pursued that, and now I've been there for 4 years now, and it's been a great ride so far.
That's cool. Thanks for the overview, and I think for Squid, just to jump into that a little bit more, because you're right, it's a layer on top of CRM and actually a lot of other tool sets or technologies or databases. So I wanted to see if you could give what is Squid? Someone asks you, right. What is Squid?
Exactly. Yeah, the elevator pitch. So Squid had its origins started with Salesforce back in the day, and the founder and his company and his family were both in the education space, and they started a company called SKUID, and SKUID, during that process, they were trying to get past all of the stuff that wasn't a lot of fun to make for all the education stuff, and just like a lot of other companies, they actually kind of created a product, which then became a low-code, no-code solution that could serve many different industries within inside the CRM space, and that kind of got their trajectory going, and it's really been developing over time from there. And the idea is that you can have a business analyst or a developer help them accelerate their speed to market and be able to iterate quickly by doing some drag and drop, doing low code, no code, and being able to kind of quickly iterate. So I know we talked about agile development. Us who are older have a little gray hairs, but we also remember waterfall. But this really the importance of Squid is being able to kind of quickly be able to develop, show somebody. A lot of our clients have this notion of what they want to build, and then when they actually kind of start to see it, it has a tendency like, oh, well, what about this then? It has a tendency to change. And that's kind of the beauty of Squid, is that we can kind of speed up the development time to make beautiful applications in a very quick period of time. And if someone doesn't like what they see, we can quickly iterate. And we always kind of talk about trying to fail fast, meaning they have an idea, well, it's not a big investment, let's just try it out. And if it doesn't work, then we can just kind of iterate and move on from there.
That's cool. So when it was when it started with education, was there a specific app that they were, or specific use case in the education space that, I mean, maybe you don't remember, I don't know if they gave
I wasn't really around.
I know you weren't there for that.
Yeah, they were just trying to serve just the higher ed
Gotcha.
through K through 12.
And build applications for that.
Yeah, and serve that industry.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. And then that platform became so powerful and scalable to a lot of other use cases that it kind of spun off into.
Then they realized, so that's when they started Squid, which is an acronym for Scalable Kit for User Interface Design.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm sure you get that question a lot.
We do. Yes, we do.
Why is it called Squid?
Right.
Okay, cool. So a lot of businesses, I think, are thinking about building applications, and I know even with Salesforce, we'll always say, we talk about low code, no code in the Salesforce world too, with all declarative programming. I mean, are you running across clients who even think about building apps like the old way? I mean, I feel like anybody even says that anymore, I'm like, really? Like, building anything from scratch these days just sounds pretty crazy.
Right, no, I have not experienced that in a long period of time. Yeah. I know that there are some companies that talk about wanting to do like that, and one of them is in the Pacific Northwest, that they have this idea of trying to kind of really recreate stuff, but it's very difficult, so I haven't really seen that. It seems like the trend is really more towards Salesforce, moving towards Lightning, and also finding partners that can complement the speed to market and be able to make changes quickly.
Exactly.
And everybody's trying to get rid of technical debt.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of lessons learned from the days past, and a lot of people are trying to avoid that again.
Yeah, and speed to market's a good one. I think you mentioned even skill set, or did you mention skill set? Skill set's a big one too, because it's really, you mentioned the BAs, or a developer can jump in and do that. That's just the new world. Now, your mind may still think like a coder, but or a UX designer, but the speed to get it out is just,
Right.
I mean,
so that's a good point, and there is from the business perspective, they want the speed to market to get it out there. A lot of times, there's a lot of change in the market where UX is becoming very important. That's also one of the things that Squid really focuses on, is kind of human-centered design, and really having good quality user experience. So a lot of times we engage our clients, and it depends. Sometimes people are open to it right away, and they're open to hearing about it because it's more relevant and it's kind of out in the marketplace. And so a lot of people want to start and have like the journey maps and understanding kind of the empathy paths and kind of creating applications that their end users will really use. And so a lot of times our designers want to speak with the end users, not so much the people paying the bill, to find out how they're actually using the application, to then make suggestions that would improve the people's daily lives. And then that kind of drives into user adoption. Right.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I've been to this Squid training
Sure have.
way back, and it was fun, and I was really impressed, and we're a partner of Squid, and I think that I was really impressed. I think what struck me a lot was the fact that you could build an app not only quickly, low code, all the things we've mentioned, but also that not only do you put this layer on top of your Salesforce, but now you actually can pull in other data sources.
Yeah.
So I don't know, talk to me about that and maybe some scenarios that you've seen some real big wins.
Yeah, so it's fun from the client's perspective, because they come to us with their certain need, usually with inside the Salesforce ecosystem. And then they start learning about Squid, and we have all these different adapters that kind of allow you to kind of plug into other systems, so you don't have to swivel seat and get into other areas. So there's a large computer manufacturer that their own team realized, with the use of Squid, when they were using Squid, that they would like to be able to see, like, hey, can we pull in these other data sources? And through a REST connection, we're able to pull into their data warehouse an aggregated field that is like 8 to 10 years of buying history and it kind of rolls up just to one number that's important to them. And so through a REST connection, they're able to look inside their CRM system, and then really now they don't know what's inside of Salesforce anymore versus what's inside of either a SharePoint or inside of SAP or a data warehouse. And you can make a connection and pull back the little pieces so it's all in a single pane of glass. So there's a lot of power there that people are start to realize that they can actually use when they're using Squid. So it's not only are they helping kind of speed up their Salesforce development, but also there's other use cases that they're realizing that they can pull it in. It's just fascinating. It's great to see. And when they make those connections and they figure it out for themselves, like it's just, it just a light goes off and they go like, wow, this is pretty powerful stuff.
It's super powerful. I mean, some of the use cases I saw with, some of your Salesforce customer data, but then connecting that in with customer data that you have, maybe in a back office system, and now you don't even realize, like you said, you don't even realize where it's coming from, but now you've got that information at your fingertips. And it also, if I'm remembering, respects whatever data rules and policies related to data security and things like that. In
so that's a very good point. Yeah. So as of today, Squid respects every connection out there, and the security is always held by the other people. Like Squid does not store data anywhere, and so when you kind of close the window of connection, it's gone. So that's kind of the power of it as well.
I agree. And way back, several years ago, maybe not that many years ago, I'm trying to think, a few years ago, let's just call it, people were talking about these large, actually it's more than that, several years ago, because I'm going to say it was several years ago, people talking about building applications and then all the work that would be involved to take it from legacy database to now new database with application. And what Squid really does is it's like, leave the data store where it is.
Right.
You can build an app very quickly and deal with the data where it is. And that, I think that's huge, because a lot of people will delay some of their build outs because they're like, God, I gotta move all these things, and now it's just like, no, you don't. Just leave the data where it is.
Yep. As long as there's an idea.
There are some restrictions to that.
Yeah, you need to build to tie them together.
Yeah.
If you can tie them together, which most enterprise and mid-sized companies have already figured out a unique identifier across different systems. As long as you have that key, then yes, you can tie them together and leave the data where it is. So it also has a tendency to prolong the life of a lot of those legacy systems that are important, that have merit, that are sitting there and have value, and allow you still to kind of move forward with your new technologies as well.
Yeah, very cool. No, I like I said, when I went to the trainings and saw all the workshops, and I've gone to, actually, we did a workshop here too, and that always kind of strikes me as incredibly powerful for a lot of businesses to take advantage of that. So you mentioned human-centered design, or just UX in general. I feel like a lot of people will say their CRM implementation, the technology's kind of okay, but adoption is such a big issue. And I wanted to get your thoughts on if there are key tips or things related to UX design, and how solutions like Squid can really help with user adoption, probably even just the speed of changing it, right? Going from this and realizing users it's not gelling, let's change it quickly. Maybe it's that. What are
that depends upon, it's kind of a loaded, so there's different ways of approaching the same thing, where there's some companies want to get the functionality and working and get it out to market quickly, and then they will then do a follow-up on better UX. And then other customers want to focus on the UX up front, really think it through, do the journey mapping with all the end users, and then kind of move forward. So it's kind of a mixed bag. Sometimes it's hard because people want to see the product and see the delivery, and then be able to kind of iterate off of that. So Squid definitely allows you to iterate. But we have some very skilled designers that are amazing at what they do, and it's kind of fun watching them kind of work with and challenge kind of the business as well. Because sometimes people are strong-willed. We work with really smart clients, and they also know their business, and so you kind of come in and it's fun watching designers kind of just ask a bunch of questions. Well, why? I mean, and then it seems like it's might not be going anywhere, but also they produce something that is far superior than what was originally.
Why do you keep asking me why?
Yeah, the 5 whys. But so it's a great process to watch, and they do a great job. And then the outcome of these longer projects like that, when they start from the beginning with UX in mind, because sometimes it's harder to come back and do UX after you've already kind of implemented a bunch of applications. Like you think you're going to make it pretty because UX is not making something visually pretty. So there's a lot of thought process that goes behind of basically making people's lives easier. So we have a lot of clients that either from call centers or just to people that have a lot of data-driven analysis needs to take place, and so there's a process flow that happens. And so Squid has the ability to kind of, since we can kind of cross objects, be able to kind of help with their flow and kind of pre-populate some of the data. So kind of like based upon what you actually add, we can it'll take you down a different path. So we can actually simplify people's daily lives just by website. Like we used to keep these metrics. One client used to take 55 clicks just to finish an overall transaction, and we got them down to like 12 clicks because it's kind of pre-populating some of the information based upon the answers they had done prior. So that kind of saves. You then calculate just the savings over time for all these people who are working, and it makes their life that much better. But that's because we took the time to kind of ask all the questions up front and really figure it out, and then kind of create an attractive application that meets the needs of not so much the executives, but the people who are doing their jobs, which made them more fulfilled. So
that's cool. That's cool. But there is an iterative design process too,
Absolutely.
right? Like you kind of start with one, but you're seeing customers kind of quickly iterate and start to build. Is that?
Yeah. So I'm currently serving a large company in the Pacific Northwest, and over the last several years, the value add that Squid has been able to provide to them is the ability to kind of quickly prototype. And I say prototype like we can actually use our tool set itself almost as like the Figma or the kind of the design, so we can kind of quickly whiteboard, kind of talk about ideas, and then that can quickly translate to something that the team can see. And then that has a tendency then to spur ideas, and it kind of quickly iterates to something different. So it's funny, when I first, in our old world, when we used to create SOWs or summary statements of work, that we used to put a very defined output of what we were going to be delivering. And at Squid, it's really hard to do that because when we put these things in place, and some older companies still want to be able to do that, but we try to put something in place, but the outcome is many times much different than what we first put on paper. So sometimes I try telling people, we can put this down, but the end product is probably going to be much different from what we're putting here, and it's not based upon our delivery, it's your decisions.
Yes.
But it's great to see, and they get that over a period of time.
At first it's probably like confusing, but then when they get into the workshops and they start seeing the quote-unquote prototypes, it starts to make sense. So.
And also they see their own vision coming to life, and then they realize that they basically made more of another kind of spreadsheet rather than a great looking application. And there's other ways of doing it, and then that's part of the kind of creating the good UX.
Very cool. Just for the benefit of the audience, kind of changing gears a little bit, I don't know if you have any insights on this, but sometimes we work with clients that are tackling maybe an internal application that's used versus an external application that's used by maybe their customers. Squid really does both, as far as, right? So I'm just curious, like, are there any different approaches that your team might take, like thinking about things when they're building something more internal versus something that might be externally based? Any thoughts on that?
No, that's a great question, and the short answer is like yes, that there's definitely a different kind of thought process. If my designers were sitting here, they would say no, it's the same process because and that's also what the value that Squid has, is that we're trying to make kind of bringing more of that kind of enterprise, kind of commercial exterior, like any like the Amazon shopping kind of motif, kind of bringing it into the internal apps as well.
Yeah.
That's kind of what when we talk about the human-centered design approach, is trying to make it those type of applications, that even the internal ones, more friendly to use. But so the designers would say that they actually approach it the same way.
Yeah.
But sometimes the enterprise, our customers, still in the internal apps, they want that, but they also want more speed to market, and they can kind of quickly iterate as well. Whereas a lot of the external facing ones, we do take a little bit more time, and we make sure that they go through the proper kind of UX and discovery, just because it is.
It's public. You don't have a training session where you're like, hey guys, let me train you on how to use this.
Right.
But you bring up a good point too, because I do think that employee experience has gotten it's gotten really important for a lot of companies. So I could see where it kind of is the same, but maybe knowing that you're going to have training and other options available to internal people that you may not have to the customers makes some sense there.
Well, a lot of our implementations, the idea is that if we need to train them, we didn't do a very good job of making an easy enough application for the end users to use.
That's a good metric.
Yeah.
That's a really good metric.
And I also feel like that's, and I'm not, this is in a good way, but I feel like this, the millennials who are actually growing up, who are actually the younger people who are working, are kind of also then now forcing almost employers to make better internal applications so they can feel like that they're doing their job and being successful. And that's where Squid is also does a very good job of helping kind of bridge that gap.
That's true. People's expectations about what systems are supposed to be like. I mean, you see some old systems are like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
how did we do our jobs before?
The old green screens.
Yeah. Have there been any changes in app development or just the types of applications maybe that you've seen customers wanting to build since the pandemic started?
So we had several clients, either from government agencies to counties to just large enterprise customers that are building very large complex buildings around the world, be able to better manage force majeure, like all these different things that are happening because of the pandemic. So absolutely, we had a request come in, a great client, a great customer. She had called me in a panic on a Tuesday, and we had to create a COVID tracking page and get it live to basically monitor all the important stuff that was important to them. And we were able to get the first page because we already had the majority of the data, so we had to make some changes to other stuff, but we were able to get that done within 72 hours to get the first iteration out and live in production. That was allowed them to basically better forecast and basically let their executives know what's at risk and what's not at a certain period of time. And that was what we did internally. Then we had a client that is a government agency for one of the states, also was creating these COVID pages. We didn't know that at the time when he was doing it, but then as we just had doing our normal kind of catch-up meetings with him, found out he was basically doing the same type of thing and doing some incredible things in a short period of time to be able to serve the need during this pandemic.
Interesting. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the panic mode at the first, and now I feel like, at least from us too, we're seeing clients more looking at, efficiencies, better internal collaboration, more, and digital self-service too. And it sounds like that. I mean, that you're right. Like that was the beginning where it was kind of just panic, a little bit of panic.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna transition a bit, kind of wind things down. I have a question of the day for you. At Pacific Point, we're a Pledge 1% company, and one of our big focus areas is on inspiring youth to pursue careers in technology, and you have an amazing career in technology, and so I wanted to know, what would be your best career advice for someone who is looking to, start a career in tech?
Boy, I would say what really got me involved in really tech is just I enjoyed problem solving. So inside of tech, you're always constantly learning. Sometimes it's a nuisance as well because it's always changing. But at the same time, it's just a curiosity of continuing learning and problem solving. And that's what we do for our clients. That's why we get paid. And that's why our clients keep coming back to us. So if you want to get involved in technology, learn to read and write. That's very important. That's it.
That's a good start.
It is a good start because you need to be able to express yourself and
True.
be able to communicate back. And so there's a lot of people that might not be able to write and communicate clearly.
I agree.
And so that's an important factor. And I got that from a mentor when I was younger. I started off being a business major, and then he said, "Yeah, we're not hiring business majors anymore because they come out with these, ideas that they already think that they know everything, and we would rather train them up." So I kind of followed that lead, and then it was just always fun, just learning about new technologies, and being able to implement them, and then problem solve from small items to larger items, and that allowed, at least for me, to kind of see around kind of the corner of the bend of where the issues might be over time, and that's kind of the career growth
Exactly.
that at least we had compared to other people that come in just being a taskmaster and they can't see around the corner because they haven't really implemented solutions.
Yeah, they can't anticipate what's going to come next.
Right.
You've seen it a few times, you've been there, and you're like, all right, guys, this is what's going to happen. We got to get prepared.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
And I love the fact that so we too do the 1%.
Cool.
So that's great. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's very cool. What did you do with your pledge time recently?
So mine, I've been involved with the organization for 12 years, but it's just supporting the local arts, the Dabble Regional Arts, where I live and around the area. So
you don't pull out the paintbrush and start
no,
creating? Okay.
but I help put on a fundraiser to kind of help
That's
money
cool.
to support
Love that.
the arts where I live, and that's my thing. What I've been done, and my daughter was in the play at this place when I was really young. But our company, we support the 1%, and every quarter during our all hands, somebody always gets up and they talk about how they're spending their time, and it's great to see the diversity of the different places where people are pledging their time. It's great.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to end the podcast with some guest hot takes. I only have a little less than 10, so no worries here. A little bit of it's get to know you,
Okay.
but I'm going to say a word or phrase and then just tell me the thing that's your hot take on it. Skiing or snowboarding?
Skiing, for sure.
Poke bowl or sushi?
Poke bowl.
Okay, you're going fast. Business travel?
What about it?
Whatever your hot take is coming. Is it? Any thoughts on it?
Looking forward to it when the pandemic's over.
Nice. Water cooler talk.
Yes, love it. We were talking about this, the importance of the office. So when this pandemic's over, everyone's talking about working virtually, and I think a lot of people are going to want to get back to the office to have that water cooler talk.
I agree. I think the serendipity of things that happen is really going to be, you have to figure out ways to recreate that. So.
Yes.
Yeah, good one. Elon Musk. No strong opinions?
No, I was actually just laughing because I was going to say something inappropriate like that. But no, the man's a genius, and I think he's incredible.
That's cool.
But I was, you're looking up here, remind me of the Elon Musk, Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't have, Anyway.
Zoom fatigue. That's my last one. Zoom fatigue.
No, I don't have Zoom fatigue. I know a lot of people talk about that, but I love Zoom. I think it's a great way. I mean, I want the water cooler talk, but I can't imagine getting through this pandemic without it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I guess I know we all sit on there all day long, but it's what a great tool.
I agree. Yeah.
So not really tired of it yet. It's going to continue forever, and we in this world have been living, replace Zoom with whatever the next thing is, a Chime or whatever. Those are great technology. It's only going to get better.
Mm-hmm. True. Thank you, Kevin, for
Absolutely.
being here.
Thank you.
So fantastic to talk to you, and we will do this again. I think. I have a feeling.
All right.
It'll be in California next time.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.